Okay, maybe my single-handed favorite principle of adventure, which is suspension of disbelief underpinned by the most likely worst case scenario. This one is all Aconcagua. Like I said, if you hang out with me very long, at some point you'll hear the story of Aconcagua, but I'll try and cut it down as much as I can. But you know, so I had plans to go climb the mountain with some people that I was with in Antarctica, and the whole plan fell apart. And I mean, I'll tell you the honest story, the vulnerable story. They're like, we don't think you're going to be a good group member. We don't want you to come. So at this point, like, this is the absolute worst thing that could happen to me, right? I care more about skiing than everything. And so I asked myself on the plane as I was flying out of Ushuaia, you know, am I in the mood to be in a bad mood? No. Am I in the mood to give up on my dreams? No. And so I went to BA, reset, and then I went to Mendoza. I ended up walking into Vallecitos, a whole nother story. And then I decided that I would go to Aconcagua. However, my brain was mostly losing its mind, you know, because like, in what alternate universe do you think you're gonna walk in by yourself, meet people, and ski the Polish? Like, it's not a thing. Like, Kelly, that's not a thing, you know? And like, my brain, oh my goodness. And then you think about like, okay, we don't just walk in to ski big mountains by ourselves. Like, that's, you know, generally regarded as a bad idea, or generally regarded as risky. And so, you know, like, I have all these doubts, I have all these swirling things, but then I realized, like, the most likely worst case scenario is that I walk into base camp, I get mules to take all my mountaineering gear, which is the norm on Aconcagua. I walk into base camp, I don't meet anybody, and I walk out. And so I realized that the most likely worst case scenario is 3 days and $500 I never get back. And I felt pretty capable of like walking a trail, a well-established trail with a lot of other people, and walking back out. 3 days and $500 I'll never get back. And then the best, you know, blow your mind is that I walk in, meet people, climb the mountain, and ski the Polish. Spoiler alert, that's what happens. And not just that, but like, ski the Polish in the most perfect snow of my life, opening up the run, just truly like the best thing ever. Not a ski hill. Somehow we nailed the conditions. And so suspension of disbelief underpinned by the most likely worst case scenario. So there's 1,000 times that I feel like I am losing my flipping mind, right? And my brain's always like, in what alternate world in what alternate universe do you think this is a thing? In what alternate universe do you think that? But so then, you know, you ground yourself in, okay, well, the most likely worst case scenario is, so say I'm applying for a job that I think I'm underqualified for, or something like that. It's like, in what alternate universe do you think they're going to hire you? It's like, well, the most worst case scenario is that's 3 hours I never get back. In the best case, they do, right? Or whatever else is in front of you, right? And this can be individually or organizationally, but it's just a fundamental approach that gives you a second to calibrate, right? Because our brains are just like losing their mind. But the worst case scenario almost always isn't going to be the one that happens, you know, unless it is. But that's not the point of my story. So we've got to do something to where we can calibrate our brains. We don't want to just ignore risk. We don't want to ignore fear. Fear is like the most helpful emotion ever. And we want to calibrate it. We want to calibrate it with some semi-qualitative risk assessment, so that we're grounded more in the reality than just the like fear response. And I will say that the skill set then is in the risk assessment, right? In the nailing the semi-qualitative, you know, and actually doing a good job of nailing what is the most likely worst case scenario. Because, you know, I'm not gonna lie, using this approach, I have had things go poorly in ways I didn't anticipate, but it's like, I didn't capture, you know, that reality in that assessment. So really the skill set then is in the risk assessing, right? In the actual thinking through what you're going to do, and making sure that you don't just gloss over the most likely worst case scenario. And that way, you know, you build that trust within yourself of actually like thinking through things, pausing, considering, taking risk, you know, that you're ready to mitigate, that you're ready to accept, prepared for, and then giving a chance for something to blow your mind and be beyond your wildest dreams. So I would say that, no pun intended, this is one of the most powerful principles of adventure. Also, the glacier just capped. Did you hear that? Heck yeah, Alaska. Well done. But yeah, to me, this one is a really helpful tool as I want to go after my dreams or want to go after things that really matter to me, but I need to do it in a way that my brain stays on board, and I don't want to ever self-abandon. I don't want to like repress fear, conquer fear. No, I want to work with fear. I want to listen to fear. I want to take the wisdom of fear. I then want to, you know, determine the most likely worst case scenario, and if that's tolerable and the best possible outcome is something that really gets me going, well then let's go. There you have it.